How's it going, everyone? This is Andy from PSR, and today I'm going to teach you how to change out spark plugs. And today we're going to be working on some Civic. And these are the tools that I used. Now, keep in mind, you don't need the impact. I just did that so that when I was removing the spark plugs, it was going to go by quicker. You pretty much really need these four. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get the hood popped open, of course, and then pull out your spark plug tubes, if that's what you want to call them. Then once you get that done, set those off to the side. Now, this car is a distributor, so it has these spark plug wires. As you can see, we're already at the spark plugs. It's not very difficult on this car. But let's walk over to the CRV and I'll show you a different style. So here we have coil on plug, which are these. And basically, it's very similar to access it. You just disconnect this connector, take this little 10mm bolt out, and then you can pull this out, and then you'd be right at the spark plug. Now, all of them are not this easy. Keep that in mind. 4 cylinders are extremely easy. Now, coil on plug and the distributor with the spark plug wires are probably going to be your most two common ignition systems that you're going to find on your car. Now, I believe on at least Chevy V8s, they have something called coil near plug, which basically, this is coil on plug because the coil sits right on top of the plug, whereas coil near plug would be like the coil's over here and it has an extra wire going to there. I believe they did that just so it would be easier to reach them on V8s and whatnot. But now that we got that out of the way, let's start by pulling the spark plugs on some Civic. And there we go, we got all of the spark plugs out. Now, if we take a look at them, this is cylinder 4, and as we can see, it does not look the best. Same with pretty much all of them look kind of crusty. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I always like to put them in order because let's say all of them look clean, but this one is black. There's most likely a problem in that cylinder, whether it's with the fuel injector or maybe a spark plug wire or coil is going weak or something, or you just never know. So just put them in order correlating to the cylinder. And here are the spark plugs. We got some NGKs. That's the part number, and that's the exact same number that'll be on Honda box spark plugs. So don't buy Honda box spark plugs because you'll just be spending more money for the exact same product. And I know Hondas are usually either NGK or I believe sometimes, I want to say Denso, but I've mainly seen NGKs as their go-to. All right, let's open them up. So they'll come individually packaged in these 4 boxes. Let's just open one up for you. And as we can see, new, old. You can really see how crusty the old ones were. And I'm kind of having a hard time getting this to focus, but look at the difference in that spark plug gap. That is terrible. And now if we go over to my laptop, we have different spark plugs for different engines and whatnot. And I'll show you guys how to tell which engine is yours. And the way you determine what kind of engine you have is if you look right here on this little piece of block here. But as you can see, that says D16Y7. And just for reference, it's right there. This is specifically for 96 that's pulled up, so it's not going to pull up the EM1, but those are the part numbers for these engines. And here we have spark plug specifications. So if we go here, we have our gap. We're looking at the bottom one in our case because unfortunately this isn't a B16. And then we have the torque spec for tightening them in. And the way you check your spark plug gapping is with one of these. I think I got this for like $2 at O'Reilly's. So you're gonna wanna move slowly on there. Don't force it, make sure it's perfectly straight. Okay, and it stopped right there. So if we look, the center of it is right at 0.04, which is right about in spec. Now I've heard some people say the edge of this side, going towards the bigger numbers, is the gap, and I've heard the center is the gap. But regardless, even if the right side is the gap, we're still within spec. So we're good to go. And all right, I just checked all of them off camera and they're all within spec. Now, if they are not in spec, that little circle is a gap opener. If you can see that, it's very hard to read. But basically you put the spark plug in there and open up a little bit. And then if it's too tight, so if it's too tight, use that little circle to open it a little more. And if it's too loose, then you can just take the spark plug like this and hit it against something. And for any of you that were curious what the old spark plugs were gapped at, this is what they were. Okay, now that we've checked all of the gapping and all of them were good, they are good to install. So a little trick that I learned is if you spin it counterclockwise, you can hear that little click. That's the threads resetting so that there's absolutely no chance of it cross-threading. Now personally, I've never had them cross-thread, but I mean, maybe someone else has. I just like to do it as good insurance. Once you get the thread started, just run it all the way down by hand. You know, I don't really like to use impacts and stuff going in. I don't mind taking it out as long as you loosen it before using the impact, because the impact can break the porcelain on the spark plug, also known as the white part of the spark plug, and pieces of the porcelain can fall in the cylinder if you do it that way. And now set your torque wrench to the proper specification. I'm doing 18 Newton meters. It's also 13 foot-pounds. And then, obviously when you're done, put your spark plug tubes back in or coil on plugs and make sure they almost bite or click in. And there we go, guys. That's how you change out your spark plugs. It's a fairly simple process, and you know, you can get the tools to do it for like $40-ish or so. Now obviously you're not gonna buy like a snap-on torque wrench or anything like that with that $40 budget, but in my opinion, honestly, I think even if you get a Harbor Freight torque wrench, like one of those little $20 ones, that's a better option than just doing the whole quarter turn deal that they used to teach people. And I was thinking about including this in the valve adjustment video, but I decided not to, just in case anybody wanted to just change spark plugs. You know, that way it can be super easy to find, super simple video. Now, at least in the modern day, most people, whenever they do a tune-up valve adjust, you have the tune-up part where you change the spark plugs. But some people also buy just cheap spark plugs that don't last 100,000 miles or so. But alright guys, that concludes this video. I hope it was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and have a good day.